Hello, I'm Sir Schmuckle, and welcome to a tutorial on how to get Metal Gear Solid 4 to run on your RPCS3 as of January 21st, 2026. Now, I have a guide up on SRDC already, and for the most part, it's not bad, but there is some outdated information in it that RPCS3 has come a long way enough that you don't have to do certain things anymore, so figure we'll just make a new guide. So first things first, make sure you have your copy of Metal Gear Solid 4. You're going to want a folder. It can be called whatever you want. Mine's called MGS4. And then inside the folder, you want either your PKG and your RAP file, which is for the digital version, or you want the contents of the ISO. So you want game update, the SFB, you want all this. Like my HD collection, this is a physical version, so this is what the inside of the HD collection folder would look like. So you're gonna want to get that set up. I'm not gonna share links, obviously. You'll have to acquire that on your own through whatever means. And then you want RPCS3, which you can get from the website. RPCS3. Which you'll get from rpcs3.net. No piracy, we get that. You'll just, whatever your operating system is, Windows, Linux, Mac, FreeBSD, if you have that, that would be crazy. You'll just download it. Usually you're running a 64-bit machine, so you'll hit download for x64. And then yeah. Up next, you're going to want your PS3 firmware update. So you're going to want to go to PlayStation's website, go to the support page where you can access the system software update for PS3. Latest one 4.92. So scroll down to where it says how to update PS3 system software, and then click on update using a computer, and then click download PS3 update, and it's going to give you a PS3 update.pup file. Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to drag that update file from whatever folder you saved it in straight into RPCS3, and it'll automatically install it for you. Now pretend we have that downloaded, extracted. We're opening it. Now by default, you should just have like a blank game list. So we're going to first go to File, Add Game. If you have the physical version, specifically, if you have the physical version, go to Add Game, and then find your MGS4. So we click the MGS4 folder. You want the folder that has the contents in it, not necessarily the content itself. And then select folder, and it will show up. It'll ask you, do you want to install, or do you want to create an LLVM cache? Hit yes. And then, just as a side note, set aside like an hour to 2 hours to 3 hours, depending on how good your CPU is, because you're going to be creating that cache for a little bit. Now, if you have the digital version, you're going to install package rep, and then go to the folder, and then select both of these, and then you can either open them from this menu, or you can just drag them into RPCS3 and it'll also work. So now you got that all set up. Metal Gear Solid 4 is in your game list. we're going to right click on it, and we're going to change the custom configuration. By default, I believe this says like custom configuration from default. Just click that. Either way, we're changing it specifically for MGS4. So first, your CPU. This should all be default. I don't think any of this changes. Go over to GPU. Renderer. Generally, Vulkan is better to use these days as a video renderer. If you have a older GPU, I guess you could try OpenGL, but really, really, you're gonna want Vulkan. Graphics device, make sure this is your graphics card and not like if you have integrated graphics, make sure it's not like your CPU. Aspect ratio 16:9. Frame limit, you want to set this to 60. If this goes any higher than 60, your game will break. A lot of the physics are dependent on the frame rate being at 60 or below. So either cap it at 30, 50, 60. Any of these will work. Don't go higher. Anisotropic filtering, auto, anti-aliasing, auto or off. You can turn, if you think your performance will benefit from disabled anti-aliasing, you can try it. Z-Cool accuracy, relaxed, shader quality, high. 3D, I don't have a 3D monitor, so I've never messed with it, but I leave it off. Default resolution, I leave this at 720, and then I just scale it through the resolution scale. But I believe MGS4 has default 1080p support. It does, so if you were to just change this to 1080p, that would work fine too. The threshold, I leave that at 16:16, but really you could probably increase that to like, I don't know, like 32:32 if you wanted. Output scaling by linear, that's fine. Shader modes, async, I believe that's set to async by default, so it should be async. Now additional settings, you want right color buffers on. Disable strict rendering if it's on, because that's how you're changing it through resolution scale, otherwise it doesn't matter. I turned VSync on to avoid screen tearing, but that is optional. You don't have to have that on. And multi-threaded RSX, if you have a really good up-to-date CPU GPU combo, I would use multi-threaded RSX, but if you're rocking like a 10 series GPU or AMD equivalent and like, I don't know, like a 7th gen Intel or AMD equivalent, I would just I would leave multi-threaded RSX off. Asynchronous texture streaming is also optional. If you have a really good GPU, you can use it, but really it's not that necessary. So audio, just as a heads up, it's loud by default, so I turn my volume down to like 50%, but in general, there's no settings here that you really need to change. This should all be default. IO, this should all be default. If you want to try to mess with keyboard, you're gonna want to turn the keyboard handler to null, but I'm just gonna say it doesn't work good with keyboard. System, this should all be default. I mean, you can really, you can change this to whatever you want, honestly. Network, I don't know. Certain games benefit from being connected to the network, but I leave this disconnected. Advanced, make sure accurate DFMA is checked, which it should be by default. I don't think you can turn that off. Accurate RSX reservation access, you want that on. PPU non-Java mode fix-up and PPU SPU LLVM pre-compilation you want on. Under firmware libraries, you're going to want libvdeck.sprx checked. That is so the FMVs can in the beginning of the game, the commercials, they can operate properly. It should be like all the way down here when it's unchecked. So make sure that is on. GPU. This should all be off. You can check read and write depth buffers and read color buffers if you're having like texture issues, but really you shouldn't need them checked. And then use rebar memory for GPU uploads. That should be checked by default. Sleep timer accuracy, use sleep only, maximum number of spurs threads, unlimited default. RSX FIFO accuracy, change that to atomic. It should be fast by default. You want that at atomic. Exclusive full screen mode, that's up to you. You can change that whatever you want. Driver wake up delay, I leave it at 0. And V-blank 60. You don't need to change the V-blank frequency past 60 because if you want 60 FPS, we're gonna do a patch for it. But yeah, that should be really all you need. Under emulator, this is all optional stuff. Whenever I speedrun this, I always put the performance overlay on just so I can show my frame limit is on at 60 basically, but you don't have to have that on if you don't want it. So here you would have like show trophy pop-ups, optional, all that stuff. But yeah, those are your settings. That's going to be what you want for your game settings for MGS4. Next, you're going to come down here to change custom gamepad configuration. I use a DualSense, so it already has a profile set for the DualSense. But one thing you're always going to run into, no matter what controller you use, is you're going to run into dead zone issues. Like when you walk diagonally, Snake is sometimes just going to like walk. The way I get around this is over here at your left squircle value. I set that to 4,000. That should fix your left stick dead zone issues at least. I don't really run into any with the right stick, so you have to change that, you can. It's controller dependent though. Like the DualSense, like I said, it's 4,000. For an Xbox controller, it might be like 3,500 or 3,000. You'll have to experiment with it, but that's going to be what fixes your dead zone issue. But other than that, you'll just it should automatically be set to whatever you pick. It has presets for DualShock 3, 4, DualSense. X input is going to be your Xbox controllers. Has everything basically. It should already be set, but you can change things to your liking. And like I said, the left squircle value, that's what you're going to want to change for the dead zone issues you're probably going to come across. But yeah, there's the controller. Up next, we're going to go up here to manage and then go to game patches. If it asks you, or if it says there's updates, just hit yes. Cool, your patch file is now up to date. And then if you want to make your life easier, up in the corner here, only show owned games, just hit that, and then makes it easier to find Metal Gear. So first, you're going to go to your version. Now, we used to use Cellspur's Urgent Command Hack. You don't have to anymore. RPCS3 is updated enough where your game won't crash and it doesn't need the Cellspur's Urgent Command Hack anymore. So you should be all set. Now, for patches, you want Crash Fix. You want flickering textures fix, and you want if you want to play with 60 FPS, you want unlock FPS, and that's what you want for your patches. And then you'll hit save, and then now you're ready to play Metal Gear. So what I'll do is I'll play a little bit of Act 1 just to show you your settings are all set. First, what's going to happen when you launch the game, you're going to have to preload all these cache shaders and PPM modules. Now, like I said, when you launch it the first time, it's going to take like, if you have a really good CPU, it could take like an hour. If you have, a not so great CPU, a couple hours. So just make sure you set aside time for that. Why don't I get display capture off the screen, then we can just view the game. Build the SBU cache. There we go. Getting in the game. Now, also, in your first playthrough, it's going to have to compile all the shaders as you go through the game. So when you enter new areas, it might freeze for a second, and it'll say compiling shaders in the bottom left. That's normal. It's really only intrusive on your first playthrough. Playthroughs after that, it only compiles for like, well, you just saw it doesn't really compile that long, and it doesn't really freeze your game either. There we go. As you can see, we're in the game. So we're just gonna hit new game because who cares? Liquid easy. And I'll run through a little bit of Act 1. So as you can see, cutscenes work. These used to not work, like, at all. Like...
One question left.
A year ago, you'd be at, like, 5 FPS trying to get through these cutscenes. I made a save pack on SRDC, so you could avoid that, but... now it's like... you don't even need it. It all works.
Well, my dad got transferred overseas, and it was a really excellent experience, actually.
So I'll cut ahead to starting the game, and yeah.
Pardon me?
Okay, so now we're done with the commercials. Let's get in the game. I'm not gonna watch the cutscenes. The cutscenes should work, but cutscenes are more prone to crash than the game itself. Okay, here we are in the game. Get under the truck. I haven't actually played MGS4 in like a couple months, so I might be a little rusty.
To make a weapon available for use, ready it by selecting weapons from the menu screen.
You can see, it seems to work. Now, a lot of MGS4 is gonna be more dependent on your CPU than your GPU if it runs good. When I'm sure I have some speedruns up of me playing this on my i7 7700K, and it was choppy, audio would cut out, it definitely wasn't reaching 60 FPS. I have a 14700 KF right now, so it's a lot better than probably what a lot of people might experience. So if you're not getting perfect 60 FPS, or your game is choppy or the game audio cuts out, that's normal. There's not really much you can do about that. It is what it is. It's mostly just dependent on your CPU. But even then, like, as you can see, my FPS, even though it's 60 for the most part, it will drop,
Snake,
especially in certain areas where
it might be best to avoid
there's a
that
lot of
area
explosions
altogether.
and whatnot. Like, the next area is it's gonna drop a bit. Act 4 will have a good few frame drops. That's just kind of how it is. But, yeah.
This is HQ. We can't spare any reinforcements. We'll have to make do.
Snake, it's kind of a schlep.
Just realized I
I've
chose
sent you
new
data on an
games, so I'm
alternate
not gonna have like any of
Follow
my
the mark on your radar.
bonus stuff. Then usually when I speedrun this, I do New Game Plus speedruns. So I just throw on the big boss mask and I just run through everyone.
It's pretty dark in there. Switch the solid eye to night vision mode.
Don't move.
Now at this point, since I'm mostly just demonstrating the game, the tutorial part of the video is over. I'm just demonstrating the game at the moment. But I hope the tutorial part helped you if you plan on playing this. Those settings, they're universal, so speedrun or just casually playing, those are going to be the settings you want to use. I hope you were able to... I hope you're able to finally play Metal Gear Solid 4 after a while if it was locked on your PS3 and you finally want to get it out of PS3 prison. But also understandable if you just want to wait till Master Collection 2. No harm in that either. But either way, I think I'll end the video here. If you enjoyed, thank you. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.